You're standing 3 feet from it. Cold glass, cold air, a moving walkway under your shoes, because the crowd is not allowed to stop. A spotlight, 105 carats of carbon cut into an oval. Mounted on a crown no living person has worn since 1937. No inscription, no blood, no warning, just a card with a name on it. Koh-i-Noor, Mountain of Light. Now count the owners. A Persian emperor cut down in his tent by his own guards. An Afghan king whose face was eaten away while he still sat on the throne. A Shah blinded in a cell by his brother's men. Another killed on a road outside Kabul. A maharaja whose house was extinguished in 3 years. One heir at a time. By falling masonry, by poison, by beating, by a gun handed over to be admired. Then the stone crosses the sea to a woman, and the dying stops. So what is actually killing them? Not the diamond. Diamonds do not kill. So what is it? Let's start with the curse itself, because the curse has a birth certificate. You know the words. Whoever owns this diamond owns the world, and all its misfortunes. Only God or a woman may wear it safely. Go looking for where that comes from. No Sanskrit manuscript, no Persian chronicle, no Mughal court document. Nobody, in 2 centuries of looking, has ever produced one. What we have instead is a date. In 1868, Wilkie Collins publishes The Moonstone, a novel, fiction and marked as such here. And in his preface, dated the 30th of June, he says where he got the idea. The Koh-i-Noor, he writes, is supposed to have been a sacred gem of India, and to carry a prophecy of misfortune against anyone who took it from its ancient use. That is the earliest hard timestamp on the curse. A novelist's preface in English, 19 years after the British took the stone. The gem is centuries old. The curse is roughly as old as the railway, which should settle it, except it doesn't, because the bodies are real. Somebody invented the curse. Nobody invented the corpses. So the question gets harder, not easier. If the story is fake, what killed them? And it will not be one thing. No poison, no run of bad luck, no villain following the stone around. What we are looking for is a mechanism, something built into the object itself, something that produces the same ending over and over in 5 countries for 500 years. Whoever is holding it, you can watch it working. Start here. On the morning of the 22nd of March, 1739, Nader Shah of Persia climbs to the roof of a small mosque in Chandni Chowk, Delhi below him. He draws his sword. That is the signal. The killing runs about 6 hours. Period estimates put the dead between 20 and 30,000. A Mughal official in the city that day writes it down. Streets left strewn with corpses, like garden paths after a storm, and here, at last, the stone becomes visible. Muhammad Kazim Mavi served in Nader's army. He was there. He describes the peacock throne from personal observation. On its roof, a peacock of emeralds and rubies. Attached to the head, a diamond the size of a hen's egg. He names it Koh-i-Noor. You have probably heard the other story. The gem hidden in the emperor's turban. The exchange of turbans as a gesture of brotherhood. The unwinding and the cry of Mountain of Light. That story cannot be true as told. Mavi, who saw it, puts the stone in a throne the size of a room. Nader takes the throne, the jewels, the elephants. He goes home the richest man alive. And he takes a second great diamond in the same load. The Darya-i-Noor, the Sea of Light. 182 carats, pale pink, still in Tehran. Nobody has ever written a curse for it. Same city, same night, same thief. One stone becomes a legend of blood, the other becomes an exhibit. That difference is not geology, it is publicity. But 8 years later, Nader is dead, and the pattern starts. In June 1747, his own guard officers come into his tent while he sleeps and kill him there. Not because of a stone. He had been blinding and executing his own family, his son among them. The men around him could do the arithmetic. They struck first. The curse takes credit for a murder that was already scheduled. But the man who rides out of that camp makes the diamond famous. Ahmad Shah Durrani was a commander in Nader's Afghan bodyguard in his mid-20s. Within weeks he is crowned at Kandahar. Within a year, he has a state. He becomes the founder of modern Afghanistan. How the diamond leaves that camp is contested. Some say he seized it, some say it was given. The sources disagree, and so should we. What is documented is his face. Mount Stuart Elphinstone gathered his account from Afghans who had known the king and published in 1815. He records a cancer of the face. It struck from 1764 and it killed him. Afghan sources go further. An ulcer that ate his nose, a jewelled substitute worn in its place, maggots dropping from the wound into his food while he held audience. He ruled like that for years, campaigning, winning. This should be the curse's best chapter. The rotting face, the jewelled nose, the perfect punishment. Now look at the ending. He died in his own bed, on his own throne, in his own country, undefeated. He handed a working empire to his son, the only owner ever to do so. The curse cannot beat a man who wins, but his grandsons could not win. Around 1800, Shah Zaman is seized and blinded on his brother's orders. Blinding is the standard technology of Afghan succession. A blind man cannot be king. It removes a rival without the cost of killing him. It is administrative. That is what makes it worse. And before they take him, he hides the treasury in the landscape. The family ruby under a rock in a stream. The Koh-i-Noor into a crack in the wall of his cell. Then he loses his eyes, and the location goes dark with him. Years later, his brother questions him and sends men to look. An Afghan court chronicle records what they found. The Koh-i-Noor was with a village mullah who had no idea what it was. He was using it to hold down his papers. Read that again. The most storied object in Asia. A paperweight, which tells you how much power it has on its own. None. It carries only the power of whoever can recognize it. And the next owner says that out loud, and nobody listens. On the 1st of June 1813, in Lahore, two men sit facing each other, and neither speaks for close to an hour. One is Shah Shuja, the blinded king's brother, now a refugee. The other is Ranjit Singh, maharaja of the Punjab. He has taken Shuja in. He has not let him leave. The family is under guard. The son is threatened in front of the father. The silence breaks. A small roll of cloth is laid on the floor and unfolded. Afterwards, Shuja is asked what the stone is worth. He does not answer in money. He answers that its value is good fortune, because whoever has held it has been superior to all his enemies. He is not being mystical, he is being precise, and the man he handed it to understood the same thing, and wore that understanding on his arm. In May 1838, a British officer is presented at the court of Lahore. He writes down what he sees. A small man cross-legged in a golden chair. Plain white cloth. Blind in one eye from smallpox. No ornament but a string of pearls. And the Koh-i-Noor, strapped to his upper arm. Not on a crown. Not in a vault. On the body, at eye level, in a court full of men who would kill for it. That is not vanity. It is a public statement. I took this from the house of Ahmad Shah Durrani. None of you did anything. He held it 26 years, longer than anyone. When it travelled by decoy. One guarded camel among 40 identical panniers. Only the treasurer knew which animal. Then on the 27th of June, 1839, he died in bed of a stroke. Aged 58. The one man who never lost the diamond and never lost a war dies of ordinary human plumbing. And then comes the argument that gives the whole story away. As he lay dying, his head Brahmin said the maharaja had willed the stone to a temple. Ranjit could no longer speak. He answered in gestures. The dispute ran a full day. His treasurer refused to release it. Not the king's to give, he said. It belonged to the state. Understand what just happened. It had stopped belonging to a man. It had started belonging to a throne, and an object that belongs to a throne is only ever as safe as the throne. Watch what that costs. His eldest son dies after a long wasting decline. Poison, everyone at the time believed. That same afternoon his grandson walks back from the cremation, and an archway comes down on him. He is carried inside conscious, asking for water. The gates are shut. Nobody is let in, not even his mother. He comes out dead. His mother rules as regent and is beaten to death by her own maidservants. Then a new maharaja is handed a new shotgun to inspect in September 1843 and is shot with it. 4 rulers, 3 years. It looks like a curse. It is arithmetic. Ranjit built a state that ran on one man's authority, then left an army of tens of thousands with a payroll and no paymaster. Remove the man and the machine eats the family. The stone sits in the vault the whole time, doing nothing, being worth everything. But the machine cannot eat a child, and a child is what the British are waiting for. On the 29th of March, 1849, a boy of 10 signs away a kingdom, and the document names the stone specifically. The last treaty of Lahore is not a legend, it is a state paper. Article 3 names the gem called the Koh-i-Noor, taken from Shah by Ranjit Singh. It shall be surrendered to the Queen of England. Read that again. Not ceded with the territory, named, itemised, given its own clause. Nobody itemises a jewel in a treaty because it's pretty. They itemise it because everyone in that room knows what Shah knew. The stone is the receipt. Holding the receipt is the argument. The boy is Duleep Singh. He will die in a Paris hotel room in 1893, in debt after decades of trying to get it back. And what happens to the diamond in London is not tragedy. It is embarrassment. It goes into the Great Exhibition in 1851. Guarded in a cage. The centrepiece of the empire's advertisement for itself. 6 million people come, and the stone is dull. Indian cutting was built to preserve weight, not to throw light in a grey London hall. The crowd shuffles past a lump. Punch renames it the Mountain of Darkness, so they change the object to fit the story. In 1852, Dutch cutters work it down with a steam-driven mill. 38 days. It goes in at 186 carats. It comes out at 105.5. They cut away more than 40% of the most famous object on Earth. Because it was disappointing in person, and then the story hardens into practice. Victoria wore it as a brooch. After her, Queen Alexandra's crown, then Queen Mary's, then Queen Elizabeth's in 1937. Consorts, women. Never a reigning king. In 2023, at the coronation of Charles III, Queen Camilla did not wear it at all. Superstition does not usually survive that long inside an institution, unless it was never superstition. But the real curse was never inside the diamond. Strip the mysticism and look at what the object is. Not wealth. Wealth can be earned. Not beauty. They recut it because it wasn't beautiful enough. Not power. A stone commands no troops. It is a portable public certificate of conquest. A Mughal emperor said so first in 1540, and nobody built a legend on it because it isn't spooky enough. Humayun was fleeing India. A rival king's envoy offered to buy the stone. He refused and explained why. A diamond like this cannot be bought. It can only be taken by force or received as a favour. Every transfer since obeyed him. Invasion, extortion, hostage-taking, blinding, murder, a treaty signed by a 10-year-old, which means holding it is publishing a confession. On your arm, in front of your court, it names, in an object, the man you took it from. And that man has sons. The stone does not kill its owners. It advertises them. And the women survived, not through mercy, not through an exemption clause. Victoria's household had an ocean, a navy, and an empire in the way. The curse ended when the theft became unchallengeable. So it is not a jewel. It is a receipt. It is a confession. It is a scoreboard. It is a claim made physical, small enough to carry, hard enough to outlast every hand that carried it. It is the reason a Persian emperor died in his tent, the reason a Shah went blind in a cell, the reason a child inherited a kingdom already scheduled for demolition. It is 105 carats of evidence that we will build a whole theology of curses rather than admit the ordinary thing, that we kill each other over proof of who won. The carbon does not know any of this. It crystallized in the deep earth under India, under pressure, in the dark, long before there was anyone to want it. It has no memory of Delhi. It did not notice 1739. When they cut 40% of it away, nothing was lost that the stone could register. Everything that makes it terrible was put there by us. The meaning is ours. The bodies are ours. The curse is ours. Written in English in the 1800s to make a robbery sound like fate. Give it another 1,000,000 years. Every empire in this story will be a thin layer in the soil. The object will be what it always was: transparent, indifferent, very hard. That is the only immortality any of these men achieved. Not the throne, not the dynasty. A stone that outlived them and never once acknowledged they were there. And you're standing 3 feet from it. Cold glass, cold air, 105 carats under a spotlight, and a card with a name on it. And behind you, the queue moving.